Queensland women's representative number 13 is Jodie Billing. Jodie Billing was a member of the Queensland side that played the first official interstate match against New South Wales in 1997. Jodie played lock and went on to represent Australia in 4 internationals, including being a member of the 2000 World Cup squad. Jodie played her club football for South Slogan and was named in the Magpies Team of 20 Years in 2018. Well, Jodie Billing, thank you so much for your time. What did it mean to you today to walk into Fogs HQ and see your name up on a board alongside the men and women of Origin?
It's amazing. I never thought that it would ever happen. And just walking through and just talking to Matt then going, "Where's your number?" I used to shout at you on the TV, but good way, do you know what I mean? I never thought that it would happen. And just seeing, it's just amazing. Yeah, never thought it would happen in my day.
Well, let's go back right to the start, not necessarily the start of your career, the start of your growing up. Where did you grow up and what was life like growing up in Brisbane at that time?
We started in Kingston, then moved out to Chambers Flat. And we used to come into my dad's. He was in Woodridge in Kingston area, so I was around that way. But lots of horse riding, racing horses through the riverbeds. I used to play forwards and backs in the paddock with my little brother because he started playing footy. That's when I started, and I started a bit later reffing junior league because of him when we couldn't play. But yeah, it was all just, we had a hobby farm. We had lots of animals. There was cows. We had pigs at one point, goats, sheep, ducks. I came home with the rabbits once, which were illegal in Queensland.
Still are.
Yeah, when I ended up with 12, because I got another one. And my mum just was like, "Go put it in the cage or don't let anyone see it." Because we had a big walk-in, like a cattery kind of thing that we had all our little guinea pigs and all that things in. We had, so just living on a hobby farm. We had a strawberry farm at one point in the top paddock. So we'd pick strawberries and Mum would take them to the Rockley markets and sell them and swap them out for boxes of fruit and stuff. So, yeah.
I'm sure there are plenty of kids listening who would love that sort of childhood.
Yeah, and then when we used to go, Dad's used to take us fishing and we used to go to all the theme parks and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was quite cool.
So you mentioned horse riding. What were the sporting interests as a young girl?
I started with netball. I used to watch swimming, athletics, tennis. I used to play tennis all the time. My mum used to always beat me, and then the one time I did beat her, I never played her again in a singles. I'd only play doubles because I don't have that record still. Tennis, and then I started playing touch football at school. I played softball, but I didn't get into touch football until I think year 10. Before that, it was always Vigoro, netball, tennis, softball, and athletics.
Because Vigoro is a form of cricket. So we're going back to an era where girls couldn't play cricket, really, and girls could not play football. So was it ever on your radar that you could potentially play rugby league?
No. I mean, I went to Marsden High and I just remember watching the guys running around and I always wanted to play and I just watched them train and stuff. And but I was quite happy with the sports. I knew I couldn't, so I was quite happy with what I did and focused on those. So, yeah. Then when I discovered touch 40, I thought that's close enough.
So then how did you start playing?
I used to play touch football all around different areas of Brisbane. I was out at Waterford West Football Ground. We were playing there and I saw a sign up saying they were looking for women rugby league players. And so I signed up, literally, just walked down and said, "Who do I call?" And then started the next season, and that's when it was 9-a-side. So we had 3 people scrums. And we played against teams like, I think it was Valleys and I can't remember if it's Swiss or Ipswich Jets and teams like that. We used to get flogged every game. I think we only scored 2 tries all season. But
did you get one of them?
I don't think I did, actually.
Well, you'd remember.
No, I don't know. But it was just, there was, but we didn't.
So I'm intrigued though, Jodie, you see a sign and you're playing touch footy. What triggered you to decide I'll have a go at that?
I've always wanted to play because I used to, by that stage, I was really into it. Yeah, and I think that I knew there was a couple of teams I'd seen something, but I didn't really take much notice. And they were, then when I saw the sign and started playing, I went, "Oh, there's a few teams." I think there was like 5, maybe 4 or 5 at the time. Yeah, and then, people couldn't believe it. And it was really funny because I used to ref mini mod league where my little brother played. And one of the girls that came to Neil, her brother, we knew him from playing with my brother. And so she was there and a couple of others. So, so I ended up knowing a couple of people.
So tough initiation, 2 tries in a season, getting full
Yeah, I think that's all it was. Yeah,
Yeah. When
that
did
was at
you
Waterford. Yeah.
yeah, when did you start realising that, you were okay? The team might struggle a bit, but you were going all right.
Donna Pope approached myself, Tennille and Jays, and I think and another player. I can't think of her name right now. And they were starting a team out at East Tigers at Holland Park, and they said, "Would we like to come and play with them?" I think they were with Valleys at the time, and we went, "Yeah, sure." So we went over there. And I remember it was halfway through the first game. I don't know if it was Tennille or Jays. We just looked at it and went, "Everyone tackles," because it just didn't happen in the last game. Everyone wanted to play league. They didn't want to do the
The physicality
physicality.
of it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's when yeah, and that's when it sort of got a bit more serious because
And you embraced that?
yeah, that was yeah, the contact was my favorite thing. Most of my sports turned into a contact sport, so yeah, that was my favorite part. Yeah.
So in those days that we're talking about a fledgling competition, playing for East would have been all that was on your mind. When did the interstate playing for Queensland and representative matches come about, and how?
Um, 95 was the first time. I don't know how it came about, but Donna was our coach at East, and she knew New Zealand were coming over to play, so we ended up playing against New Zealand in a couple of teams, and they had trials with the Brisbane teams and the Ipswich teams, and I think a team from up north somewhere. I can't think of right now where they were from, and that's how the Queensland team was formed. But we played, I want to say, out at Carina. I'm not 100% sure, and I've gone blank on his name now, but he's a he's a rugby player, and he was one of the selectors, and he picked the team for the first Queensland team in '95, and then we played against New Zealand, and it was amazing. And my cousin, David, who was a big supporter, he was like, "I can't believe you've got a Queensland jersey," and he goes, "And you're playing against New Zealand, which was, I mean, we despise them as much as the Blues, so it didn't really, it was a similar path. So yeah, you just wanted to beat them as well. We got yeah.
Did you know what you were doing at the time, as in what you were establishing?
No, I'm just so happy to be playing for Queensland and just being able to play footy. It was just, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I remember so many of us. I couldn't believe it, and my just my dad as well, because he never really watched play, or my mum. But I don't think they really got it and how much I loved it. But he was like, "I can't believe you got a Queensland jersey." Once my cousin David's like, "She's playing for Queensland," you know.
Your
So, yeah,
memories of the game?
I think we got battered. So we were. Yeah, because it was early days for a lot of the players. I mean, there was teams earlier than us, like 92, 93, and I think Popey played in the 70s. That was our coach at East. But yeah, we did all right. But I remember, I think Gina got carried off from doing her back. I'd split my chin open underneath the. At one point, didn't know, and they go, "You got to go off," and they just strapped me up and put a headband on. And I remember being in the Crushers dressing room, and they were saying they have to take me to get it stitched, and I said, "Oh, I don't want to leave." Then the Crushers doctor had said to me, "I'll do it for you, but I've got no anaesthetic." When I don't care, just do it. And he thought he was joking, but I didn't realise. I was just so hyped because I just wanted to go back out and watch the guys who were playing next and didn't care. But yeah, it was amazing, amazing experience.
That obviously whet the appetite,
Yeah.
and amongst all the girls in the team, was that? Do you reckon that was without that game? Where do you reckon women's rugby league might have gone? Is that the pivotal moment? Do you think?
Well, there were still a few more teams coming, but it was the next year actually, yeah, because then that was the first time Queensland got invited to go to the Nationals to try out for the Australian team. Because previous to that, it was always just team south of the border, so you can't really call it an Australian team if there's no Queenslanders in it. But yeah, so '96, the next year we went down, I think it was Brisbane, and that's when it sort of started, and that's when we realised there was Australian selections and everything else. So yeah.
And did that attract more players as well?
I think I can't remember how many. There was a couple more teams came in, but it just started to get bigger and bigger. Yeah, and there was more players that wanted to play, like because they like the physicality and stuff as well. So yeah.
So playing against New Zealand in that first game was obviously one of the career highlights. But what was it like to play against New South Wales for the first time?
Oh, great. I mean, we went down there, and I can't remember just any team south of the border. There was one year it was like Illawarra, South Sydney, stuff like this, but you knew they were all New South Wales, so it was just amazing. It was just, yeah, it was like doing what the guys do, and you just get to have the same. Like, I'm really patriotic and loyal when it comes to things like this. So when I saw players swapping between Queensland and New South Wales and other teams, I'm like, "You're a Blue, you'll always be a Blue," kind of thing. And I didn't like the fact they're allowed to come and play our team, so it was good when we went down there and yeah, played against them.
And what was it like conditions wise? We look now at the modern game, obviously so much difference. Give us some sort of an example when you say you went down there to play them. What did you have to do to
Um,
enable yourself to be in the position to play? What did you have to go through
uh,
financially, travelling wise, and all that sort of stuff?
well, I remember one year we hired a little minibus and the girls were driving it 12 hours down to Sydney and they swap over to get down there. We stayed in dodgy hotels. We did beer and prawn nights. I've never liked beer and prawns, and I still do not. And beer and prawn nights. We were delivering telephone books one year, I think, for those people.
For the younger viewers, telephone
Yeah,
books used to come out
yeah,
with people's phone numbers in them. It's
yeah.
remarkable how old that makes us feel, Jodie.
I'm trying to think what that was. Yeah, just stuff like that. So yeah, and then it was yeah. I worked. I think I was at TAFE at the time, and I was just working a couple of jobs. I worked to pay for my next trip, basically.
And have to
Yeah,
take time off work.
yeah. Or sometimes I just quit and then found a new job.
Really? So you would quit
If
your
it was
job.
a long one, if it was not a weekend one, but if it was like when we went away on tours, yeah,
So
I
you'd quit your job
yeah,
to be able to play.
yeah, and I'd just make sure I saved up enough so I could do the tour and then come back. So I wouldn't have missed
Where
it.
do you reckon that passions come from?
Um, I've always been really competitive, and I think my mum's really competitive. My dad is as well, and I don't know. I've just always loved sport, and I've always anything sport wise, I want to be the best at. And I just knew when we used to train, there we didn't really have. I do go to the gym and stuff like that, but it wasn't. You couldn't. We didn't have the facility like they have now.
Mm.
And I remember going to the police academy with Murph and a few others just to use their weights things, and we train up there just to get a team and make sure everyone's doing stuff. I can't remember who went up there. There was a few of us that used to go up there and train at the academy. So and what they have now, where they have medics and they get a knock and they get sorted out. I mean, I had a knee reconstruction that went terribly wrong and ended everything. And I think if that had happened, if we had what we had then, I probably may still have played. So,
Mm.
yeah.
When you were playing, how well accepted was the women's game,
Um,
if at all?
it wasn't really. There was, to be fair, there was some guys that really got behind us, and there was like coaches like David Leet, Tony Ashton, Paul, who was at East. I can't think of his surname. It's I think it's a long Murray name, and people like that who came down just helped out and did stuff, and then they get their like Dave got his nephew to come down, Jeff to help at training, and then helped doing Queensland stuff, and Graham was another one that came along and helped us all. But there's people like that did, but then you have others going, "What are you doing on the field?" I remember when I was at East and I wanted to start another team at somewhere else, and I'd just go and ask clubs and like, "Are you for real?" Like, and now there's teams at all these clubs that just sort of laughed at us and went, "You're not going to get a women's team here." But then I knew some guys that who were on the board at South, and I think they played there, and I just mentioned to them because I used to work where they were, and said how I wanted to start another team. I'm looking, I said, "Well, we'll go to the board and we'll ask at South." I went, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then they came back and said yes, and that's when Dave Leet said he'd coach us without knowing us, anything about us or the women's league, because he didn't want us to get stuck with, I don't know if I can swear, but he didn't want us to get stuck with someone who wasn't going to give us the opportunity. So yeah, but there was, even my dad and my mum's like, "What are you playing for?" It's, they just didn't really get it. And remember when my dad came to one of the games, he was in the stand and someone was going off about women playing and he defended me. Someone said, "Your dad stuck up for you." And my cousin told me my dad stood up for you. It's like, oh, wow, he's on board now. So, yeah.
How much you reckon over the time your game improved from when you first started playing, scoring the team 2 tries in a season, to when you finished your career?
Um, it went tenfold with the different coaches we had, the different ways that we learnt a bit more from each different one, telling us about nutrition, how to manage your injuries, and just helping out just to do stuff. So it wasn't just you trying to. Yeah, we had proper training sessions. I remember at South one night the lights went out, and I think we had on the top paddock, and people had their car lights on. But yeah, it just with a different getting help with different people who came on board and showed us different techniques and how to do stuff. And I don't know how it turned out. We got a run playing touch footy against the Broncos team one year with one of the rep sides, and just doing that was and you want to learn more and do more, and yeah, stuff like that.
I would imagine you sit here with great pride when you see where the NRLW has got to and how the Jillaroos playing in Las Vegas
Yeah.
and how the women's game is being treated. Not only the women's game, the women's players are being treated as well.
Yeah.
What sort of emotion do you get when you see watching these games on
It's
television?
it's amazing just seeing how far it's gone. I don't know if some of them know how lucky they are to have what they have, like flying business class, dressed head to toe in RM. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like this when we were like trying to get pay for socks and things like this. So it's absolutely amazing what they have now, and just the opportunities they have where they can play a game they love for a living. And it's getting to that point. I mean, they're getting paid for state of origin now, not having to. We had players who didn't go because they couldn't afford to go, and now I don't. I know people say they still work, but it's nothing like it was. Like you can have a week off and you're still getting money in your pocket still, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
If you're a job, so it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
And
Yeah,
we've had other Queensland women's players sitting here talking about wearing Burleigh Bears jerseys when they're playing for Queensland, staying at the Backpackers at West End and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah.
if it wasn't for people like yourself, those girls now wouldn't be getting that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also a lot of work that people have done in the background as well,
Mm.
and the people who've got on board to help the women's game grow, like the coaches that did it before there was money, or before they could get a gig in a women's game to get to an NRL game and stuff like that. They did it because they loved the game and they wanted to help us, and they saw that we could actually play and we wanted to play and that we had passion for the game, so they'd come down to help, and that's yeah.
With what the girls have now, how good do you reckon yourself and your other teammates from that back then would be now? Obviously, as the game develops, the players develop.
Yeah.
And do you get a little bit of envy watching and thinking, oh, I wish I could do it now?
Yeah, I mean, I got injured, so I was wiped out quite early, but because it just ended everything for me. But I just
But as
think
you said, you might have got the right care.
exactly. So if we had that then, it may not have got to the level it did where it got to how bad it was. But there's some players that I just think if they had that opportunity they did now, that didn't play at the level they could have because they couldn't afford to or didn't have the means to, can, and just the training and the facilities they have now, just it'd be a whole. I think there's quite a handful of us that would walk straight into some teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, just without. Yeah.
I've asked this question of Tani Norris, Karen Murphy, Veronica White, etc., where they think the game is at the moment, how much more improvement there is to come when you consider that girls now can play from a young age and not stop in their
Yeah.
mid-teens. They can play all the way through. There's these pathways. How much more improvement do you reckon there is to come in the game too?
Well, to get to full-time professionals, I suppose, but then, yeah, they just got to get more people interested to bring. I know they're getting a lot more people coming to games and stuff now, but it just needs to be a lot more people getting behind them to create the revenue so they can go further and become complete professionals like the men. But yeah, so they need that support behind them to do it. I mean, I went to Marsden High, and I remember we used to do emu parades on that field to pick up the rocks to get the field ready because it was just being dug. And now they've got a complete league academies and stuff there. I mean, that would have been my dream as a kid when I went to that school to have that kind of facility. It's just like across the board, it's all sports. They have these amazing facilities. So it's getting better and better every year. It's only going to get better as things go on.
An unfair question potentially, but I'll ask it anyway. Looking back over your career, is there one moment that stands out more than any other?
Um, well, the first when we toured Fiji, and Mark Donkin was the coach, and he named me vice captain for the game and said you'll be captain at one point. And I never thought I'd get the opportunity to be a captain of Australia. I was vice captain of the Queensland team, but I didn't think it took me by surprise, and I was just like, oh my god, and I was running around like I had this chicken, and someone. I can't remember who it was, said, "Yeah, this is an honour." I know. Like, 'cause I thought I was being an idiot, but I was actually could not believe that he'd actually named that. So for me, it was that being named because he actually thought, I could do the job. So yeah.
You told me earlier off camera that you've got all your jerseys. I think you said you're missing one
Yeah.
stashed away. Has the game now become that big that Jodie Billing can get those jerseys out of being stashed away and frame them to put them on display with a great sense of pride?
I might do. I've got all my training shirts and all the kits that we have as well, and I was actually going to cut all the emblems with the year out and sew them onto one patch so it's on one frame because I don't think I've got space in the house to hang all the jerseys. But they're all still there, and they're like, I don't know if you saw what we played in. They're like wearing tents compared to now, so you need quite big frames. Yeah.
Who would you say had the biggest influence on your career?
Oh, I don't know. I think in the early days, Donna Pope and Paul from the East team gave me the start, and then and the confidence in myself to think, I can actually do this. And then Dave, then when we played for South, and John Taylor Squiz picked me for my first Australian team, and Tony Ashton, who was the Queensland coach at one point, made me vice captain, and just those, having the thinking that I was, good enough to be there. I just couldn't, when I got the first pick for the Australian team, I just first person called my dad and went, I got in. So yeah, it was just amazing. Just that I think those guys that gave me the opportunity to start with otherwise I wouldn't be where I was if someone didn't give me the confidence to go forward. Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young girl if she came up to you and said, Jodie, I want to play footy and I want to be as good as you? What would that advice be?
Believe in yourself and work hard, because if you don't work hard, no matter how talented you are, you're not gonna go. And be humble. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on a wonderful career, a groundbreaking career at that as well. And we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I can't believe I'm here.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Fogs Queenslander podcast. If there's a Fog you want to hear from, leave a comment to let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos.